Hi everyone, welcome to episode 5 of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. Today's guest is Paul Sallaway. Paul is the owner and founder of babeltech.com. Paul is originally from Australia but lives in Tokyo. Paul's site, babeltech.com, helps EFL teachers get their business online. Most importantly, helps businesses to get an effective online presence through ready-to-go landing pages, sales funnels, and proven tips and tricks to build an audience and make a profit online. Paul also is offering a 25% discount to listeners of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. I'll put the details in the show notes, and the offer is valid until March 31st.
Hey everyone, buckle up for a new episode of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast, the one and only podcast made to help you launch your business or take your existing business to a level of success you could never have imagined. Whether you're a school owner, freelancer, publisher, or other entrepreneur, you're sure to pick up lots of actionable advice when you listen to the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. Remember to visit EFLmagazine.com for great articles and features. Without further ado, here's your host, the founder of EFL Magazine, Philip Pound.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Today, I'm delighted to have Paul Sallaway. Now, Paul is, Paul, what's your job title? CEO, managing director, owner, founder?
I would say owner and founder of the online platform which I'm promoting.
Okay. Paul is based here, like me, in Tokyo. And Paul, how are you today?
Hi, Phil. Well, thanks. Thank you for inviting me. Very happy to be on your show.
My pleasure. And tell me a little bit about your background, how you came to Japan. It's always an interesting story how we all end up here.
Yeah, well, I'm from Australia, of course, I think, as you mentioned. So I don't come from an education background as such. When I finished school, I went to university and studied commerce. I was interested in the world of business. And so after that, I worked as a finance professional in various industries for a number of years. And then in the early 2000s, I was looking for a bit of a change, bit of a career break. And I was always kind of intrigued with this idea of teaching English in a foreign country. And I had been to Japan previously, and I really liked that experience. So I thought I'd come back to Japan and try my hand at teaching ESL for a while and see how that worked out. And so I did, and I got a job with one of the major ESL companies here, and I did that for a few years and kind of learnt the ropes of teaching English. But even while I was doing that, I could see that this whole bricks and mortar style of lesson delivery was really, I think, ripe for disruption in a lot of ways. I could see that the offices that we were working from, these companies were paying top dollar. These offices are right in front of train stations. That's prime real estate, and they're sitting empty for most of the day. This is just like a couple of hours in the evening where they actually get the students in. Plus, there are other problems with the brick and mortar approach as well, and in terms of like actually recruiting people who are going to work for you. So, if you're living in an exciting location like where you are, Phil, maybe that's okay for some business owners. But if you're in a less than glamorous location, that could be a problem. So, I thought this whole bricks and mortar style of lesson delivery was ripe for disruption, and the internet was we're talking the mid 2000s, so the internet was still fairly new at that stage, so I thought there were a lot of opportunities. So what I wanted to do was something similar to what I guess italki and those sort of teacher platforms are doing now. So you could say I had the idea for italki before italki did, but there were two problems for me at that time. One was that the internet was still fairly immature. In particular, I'm talking about social media was still fairly immature in those days. There was
what year was this, Paul?
This was around 2005, 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, Facebook wasn't around at that stage. I think YouTube would have been in diapers or nappies at that stage. It was still fairly new. So there weren't a lot of resources online to help people get started with online businesses. So that was one problem. The other is that I didn't come from a tech background. So I really had no idea about coding and managing a web server and anything like that. So I had to hire a few guys to help me. I went through 3 different web developers, and in each case that was a disappointing experience. They kind of overpromised and under-delivered. And so I reached a point where I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to learn how to do this myself. So I put everything on hold at the time, and I said, I'm going to spend a year just learning all of the skills that I need to do this myself. And I just found I loved it. I loved learning about the web and coding and online marketing as well. So I really sort of fell in love with the whole process of learning about that. And an outcome of that was that talking with friends and people I mixed with, a lot of them had businesses that they wanted to get online, and they were in a similar situation where they didn't have the skills themselves to do it. And so I thought, well, there's an opportunity here for me to help out. And so that led to me sort of starting a career as a web consultant. And so I developed a new skill set of building websites and helping business owners with their marketing. And so I did that for the next 10 years up until 2019, and throughout this time I've continued to do ESL teaching because it's the nature of consulting, I guess, is that your income can be a bit lumpy sometimes. So I've continued to do teaching as more of a part-time gig, and then around 2019 I had some conversations with people I knew who said, look, we're English teachers, but we really aren't having a good experience working for these big companies. And I'm talking about like Chinese companies in particular. There's a lot of these online Chinese ESL companies which seem to dominate the market. And they said, we're not having a very good experience working for these companies. We think that some of their employment policies are a bit unfair, and we've tried the teacher marketplaces like italki and so on, but there are problems around those as well. It's very hard to create a brand for yourself, for example. So when you're on one of these platforms, you kind of do become reduced to a commodity, and in any commodity environment, it's sort by price is the typical default user behavior. So people said to me, look, we want to get online, but we don't know how to make a website. We can't really afford to hire someone to build it for us. And so that led me to thinking about building this platform which I have now, which is Babel Tech. And with this platform, so you can create an account, pay a simple monthly fee, and you get all the landing pages you need to attract and convert and retain students to build a sustainable, profitable, independent ESL business.
Okay,
so that's the long story.
and very good. And the URL is BabelTech, BABELTEQ, isn't that right? .com.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. BabelTech. Yeah.
BabelTech.com. Okay. Well, we'll mention it again, and of course, we'll put it in the show notes as well, Paul. So just going back a little bit, you learned coding and HTML and so what. How did you go about this? So this was the mid 2000s. So YouTube wouldn't have been around so much, or at all. I think when did YouTube begin? I can't remember. But
well, the YouTube sort of came along in 2004 or something like that. But I mean, it was a different YouTube to what we have now. Well, good question. So, fortunate. Well, I used to start off by visiting bookshops in Shinjuku downtown, Kinokuniya. I think they have the best selection of foreign books there. So every chance I had, I would go there and browse through the technology book section. And then I started ordering books online from Amazon. And my wife used to laugh at me because every time a new coding book arrived at the door, it was like Christmas Day for me, and she thought that was kind of amusing. So I just used to pore over books and manuals and things like that. But now, of course, with social media being a bit more developed now, so I find that I get a lot of support and a lot of ideas from online forums, Facebook groups, and I am like basically these days a WordPress consultant, so through the WordPress.org forum as well.
Okay, so just a little comment on being an entrepreneur. I think from a few conversations I've had over the past few days, and starting out is you started out in a difficult place. For people nowadays, we have, as you said, WordPress, things, the barrier to entry is a lot lower. It's a lot easier. We can get online courses, coaching, Facebook groups. We don't need to buy those books anymore. Well, we can for dummies or whatever books you buy first. So you did it the hard way. So for somebody, wanting to start off in tech entrepreneur or tech in education, ed tech, there's no excuse really, is there?
I think that the barriers to entry are a lot lower now than they were. As you said, there's a lot of online courses, things like Udemy didn't exist back then. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much coding they teach in schools these days, but in my day it was non-existent, of course. So yeah, there are, I think, a lot of online resources. YouTube is one of my great resources. I call it YouTube University. So almost every night I'm on there learning something new, whether it's about WordPress or whether it's about marketing or something else business related.
Sometimes though, I know from my experience building WordPress site, and you get a plugin and something, it crashes, there's a plugin conflict, or there's some short code. You go to a video and the guy is giving the answer, but you can't hear it, so you turn it up to this experience. What did he say? And you can't really you can't make it out, and it takes an hour or two, and then you figure out the hosting was wrong. And I think when I first started out, it was the same. The hosting was, I think they put me on WordPress hosting for some reason, and Microsoft hosting, and I was, oh my God, the whole thing just crashed, and they put me on to, they sorted me out in the end, but yeah, it was not good. But so you started out, you did some coding, and tell me a little bit about the marketing background. What kind of got you into marketing? What kind of books did you read? Because I kind of like this area of things as well. So we can otaku out on this for a few minutes.
Yes, yeah, we can definitely otaku this. I guess I came to this first from the purely technological point of view of like creating websites and landing pages for my clients at the time. I was helping them get online, but I quickly realized that that's really just the start of the process, not the end. So you can have a website, but if nobody knows it exists, if nobody finds you, then it's really kind of pointless. So I began thinking about this issue of how do you get customers, how do you get prospects, how do you get leads, and that's and that's something that has really expanded and grown over the last decade as well. So there seems to be a lot of new social media platforms popping up all the time. And so social media, of course, is a big part of everyone's life now, and it is a great opportunity for businesses to reach out and connect with new customers. But even some older technologies that have been around for a while, like email marketing, for example. I'm a fan of email marketing. I think that's definitely something that business owners should have near the top of their priority list for various reasons.
I was just thinking about this last night. I remember when I started out 6 years ago now with the website and looking at marketing. And there's a podcast at that time. I don't know if it's there now. I think it was taken down. It's probably behind some paywall now. It was called the Foolish Adventure Show. I remember one guy was Tim Connolly. You might see him. He's a marketing guy. But the content on that was just amazing. I think what you would pay through the gurus and through courses, you wouldn't get on this course. So, there's a lot of good free marketing stuff out there for people. Can you recommend anything? Or
just for kind of like a top level framework for marketing, I would read anything by Seth Godin. I think some people have called him the godfather of marketing. He's published probably 20 books now on marketing, and I really like his approach and philosophy around marketing. Like he talks a lot about permission marketing, how you need to get people's permission to engage with them. So, offer them something for free, offer them something that's going to make a positive impact in their life, offer them some valuable content. And then over time, you build up that relationship with them, build up the trust, know, and like factors, and that's how you can build a business. I think a lot of business success comes around patience and appreciating that it takes a lot of touch points to build up that connection with your potential customer before they pull out their credit card.
Is that where trust, know, and like comes from? Because we hear that a lot, don't we, in online marketing?
I'm not sure if Seth Godin coined the phrase, but it's definitely a core concept of his. I like Seth Godin. I haven't got any of his books yet, but I think Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels, I think he has some good tactical advice around marketing and like creating like a hook and a story and an offer when you're pitching something to a new target audience. So Russell Brunson's got some good videos online that are worth checking out. There's Simon Sinek, who's maybe more he talks more about leadership, but the more and more I think about this, I think that leadership and marketing are really two different sides of the same coin, if you like. So you can think of leadership as being like internal directed. You're leading a team of people within your organization, whereas marketing is leading an external audience. You're raising the flag and saying, hey, follow me, come with me. I want to take you here. So I think that leadership and marketing are really two different sides of the same coin. So a lot of what Simon Sinek has to say, I think, is worth listening to as well.
Okay, so let's make this a little bit more relevant for our listeners. So some of our listeners will be school owners, entrepreneurs, maybe want to get online, maybe want to start an online business. So you talked a lot about giving away content and getting people to like you and to trust you. Give me kind of an example for somebody who wants to get online, start their own business, or have a bricks and mortar business. What some things they can do.
Okay. Well, those are two fairly different things, I think, to start with. So having an online business and a bricks and mortar business. I think when you've got a bricks and mortar business, you hang out your shop front sign and you get some walk past traffic. You've probably got a connection of people that you know in your community. You've got friends of friends. There's the word of mouth factor. There are some downsides to that kind of business model as well, which I think we've already talked about. Having an online business is quite different in that respect. In that you've got to take it from a different approach. And so the online market is vast. I don't know the exact number, but there's billions and billions of websites out there. So you're really going to struggle for attention and getting any kind of traction, especially if your product, if your service is the same as some of these big companies, like big ESL companies with multi-million-dollar marketing budgets and teams of support staff. So if you're trying to play the game on their terms, I think you're really going to struggle, or at least make the job harder for yourself than it needs to be. What I would recommend to anyone who wants to start an online business in ESL is to think about a niche. So define a niche. Define who you want to help and what problems you want to solve for them. Because that's really what any business is all about, is solving problems for your customers or making some transformation in their lives. So you need to answer that for that. First up is what's my niche, and some people struggle with that. So they think, well, I just want to teach kids, or I just want to teach general English. I think you really need to. I really think you need to put some thought into narrowing that down a bit, narrowing down your target audience. And I've written an article about this in my blog. But I think you can look at this question a few ways. One of them is, what do I have in my life experience which really qualifies me to teach something? And also, would I enjoy teaching this for a living? So that can be the starting point for picking a niche. And it can be very specific too. Like in addition to my blog, I have a podcast as well. And
Can you give us what's your podcast, Paul? Sorry for interrupting you. We may as well mention that now.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's on various platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. But I post all of the podcast episodes on my blog. So if you go to babeltech.com and the blog section, there's a link at the bottom of my landing page for the blog. You'll find all the episodes there. So what I've done is, amongst other things, interviewed a lot of successful independent online teachers. And a couple of months ago, I interviewed a woman by the name of Tara Cole, and so her background is in landscape architecting. Well, she was a landscape architect, and then through various things happened, I guess, and she's living in France now, and she was starting to teach kids, and from getting that first taste of ESL, I think she realized that there's an opportunity here for me to really teach English as a niche service. And so now she has a very successful online business teaching ESL for landscape architects. That's her niche, and doing very well out of it. So you might think that a niche is too specific. You might think that, like if my niche is English for radiologists, you might think, how am I going to find a customer, right? But you got to remember that English is the language of opportunity. The whole world wants to learn it, and it's a big world, and there's a lot of people out there. So you would be surprised how easy it is to find people in a particular niche. And And I think that LinkedIn is a gold mine. So we can get into the tactics of that if you like, but LinkedIn is a great way to find people within particular vocational niches and make that connection with them. And from there, tell them about what you're doing, get them to come to your landing page, get them into maybe your email subscriber list, get them to take a trial lesson with you, get them to pay for a program of courses, program of lessons. So I think getting a niche, focusing on your niche, is got to be the first step, and working out what problems you can solve, and how you can make a transformation in your clients' lives.
Excellent advice. We'll go on to LinkedIn in just a moment, but just want to make a comment. That's what a lot of the marketing people say, is pick a niche and then a niche within the niche, and keep or niche, whatever, niche down more and more until you can't niche anymore. All right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so so there's a debate about like how far down the niche you go, but I think I would tend towards the side of being as specific as possible. Yeah.
So landscape architect is definitely specific. She knows the background, the jargon, and the kind of people work in that industry.
She knows the context. She knows like the situations where people who maybe they don't speak English as their first language, but they need to use English, like for doing presentations with their clients. Maybe whatever negotiations. I don't know that industry, but if you, and that's kind of the whole point. If you do have that background, then you've got a great starting point for choosing that niche.
Yeah, excellent. I think I might actually have a chat with Tara. She sounds interested, very interested. I'd really love to have a chat with her. So I was talking actually to Chris Jagasia from Off the Class last week, and like you, he comes from a finance background, and I think what he said is quite similar to what you're saying, and perhaps it's the finance training. But a lot of things that I would struggle with, and people starting out as entrepreneurs, is that we too many choices. We're paralyzed by choice, and we see something else we want to do, and we say, oh, this would be great. That's kind of my personality anyway, so I have to keep that in check. But what you're saying is, pick a niche, be specific, work on it methodically, and that's very, very similar to what Chris said as well. Is that your kind of experience? Is that the finance training, do you think, or is it just the... What do you think?
I don't know if it's the finance training. I guess I do have a fairly sort of analytical approach to problems. But I think, this issue of paralysis by analysis is something that a lot of teachers deal with when they're trying to choose a niche. And I would just say, look, just pick one. Just think about it. Just think what would be best for you. What's going to suit you. Something that you're going to enjoy, I think, is an important part of that conversation as well. Because once you choose a niche, you're going to be spending a lot of time doing it. So don't pick something that you're going to absolutely hate. It should be something that you understand and that you will enjoy. And so, and I think that some people also, they have an idea of perhaps I'm going to do 2 niches or 3 niches and see which one works out. And you can try that, but there's a Confucian saying that the man who goes hunting for 2 rabbits at the same time goes home hungry, or something along those lines. So it does. I think in a sense, it would be better, I think, to choose one niche. I mean, another problem too is how you present yourself. It's like let's say I need a plumber fix my tap, and I see online someone who's a plumber / wedding planner. How do I think about that person? Do they have as much credibility as they could in my mindset? So having a particular niche and just targeting one at a time is what I would recommend anyway.
Excellent. And we just come back to LinkedIn. You mentioned about getting business. When I first started with the magazine, I went to LinkedIn. I asked people to write articles, and I made contact with a lot of people. And then I was told, oh, actually, Facebook is maybe a little bit actually better for business. But tell me a little bit about using LinkedIn, because I think maybe a lot of people who use it, including myself, we really don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I had I guess I first got a LinkedIn account years ago, and then I just forgot about it because I just thought LinkedIn was one of those things that you put your profile on there and use it as kind of like an online resume, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. But in this process of promoting my platform, Babel Tech platform, I really wanted to find teachers who have embraced this concept of marketing themselves in a particular niche. And the killer feature of LinkedIn is that you can search by job title and also people's job titles are searchable, so you can search on keywords, for example. You can look in LinkedIn groups. There are LinkedIn groups where people who are in a particular industry, they are probably part of that group. So LinkedIn has a lot of great filters and great features for finding people who are in very specific industries. And if your ESL niche is training people in a particular industry, then I think LinkedIn should be the first place that you go to. There are YouTube videos that you should watch about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn video seems to be something that is a great way of getting reach and exposure, something I need to do more of, I think. So LinkedIn is really good if your niche is vocational English. If you're looking more, if your niche is in some other field, like for example, if your niche is in preparing people for IELTS exams, then maybe LinkedIn would still be good. I'm not 100% sure about that. If your niche is in kids English, some aspect of kids English, then maybe Facebook groups would be a better option. And with Facebook groups, you should be looking for groups where parents, I guess, congregate, and where parents are talking about what's best for their kids and so on. So I think Facebook groups and LinkedIn would be the two social media platforms which I think have the biggest opportunity for organic marketing, at least anyway.
Tell me where is online at the moment? You mentioned italki and a lot of these mass markets. They pay maybe, I don't know what the actual pay rate is on italki at the moment. Do you know per hour what they pay for teachers?
Well, I think that some of the online companies that employ teachers, they can pay from a couple of bucks an hour to maybe up to $25, $26, maybe $27 per hour. That's if you're employed directly by them. These teacher marketplace kind of platforms, I mean, it varies. It depends what you set the rate, I think, in a lot of these cases. The downside of the teacher marketplaces is, well, for starters, they take a chunk of whatever your lesson rate is. Some of them charge 30% of your lesson fee. Some of them charge maybe 15%. And that's before you even pay taxes, or before you have to give PayPal their commission. So there's that. And as I sort of mentioned before, if you're on one of these teacher marketplaces, you are kind of reducing yourself to a commodity, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to control your brand, and difficult to control your marketing channel. I mean, if you're relying on something like one of the teacher marketplaces to get students. You could be kicked off. What if you're deemed to have breached their terms of service as well? You've immediately lost access to your audience. So I think that the safest way, the most sustainable and profitable way to become an independent online teacher is to have your own website address, your own set of landing pages.
Okay, so that's a nice segue. We're going to move into this area now. So you're sitting there, you're on these platforms. You don't feel you're getting paid as you should, as much as you should. You feel a little bit undervalued. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of qualifications, and some people are full-time ESL teachers and maybe do this as a side gig, or there are people maybe in this, as we said, current climate, people are working from home, or there's certain life events, people have children or moving house, or whatever happens, people want to get online, but they say, I think I can do better myself. I can I can break out my own, I can make more money, I can I have this entrepreneurial spirit. What's next? What you mentioned URL landing page. What do they do?
Okay, well, I guess that the options which you have available to you right now would be one to hire a website developer to build something for you on a hosting account, and what you pay there varies a lot. So I have seen quotes from like $500 to build a simple WordPress site, up to a few $1,000s. So it really depends a lot on how much skill and experience and expertise you're paying for, and your mileage will vary depending on who you hire, as it did in my case, back in the day. So that's one option. The other option would be like to go to something like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or one of those, and create an account with them, and try to build something yourself. And so that's an option. I think a lot of people quickly get frustrated though with the fact that it does take time, and there is a learning curve in figuring out how to do that, because even the starter templates which they may provide you with are not really designed for the ESL industry particularly. So you got to take a square peg and fit it for the round hole sometimes. So those kind of like page builders are another option, and then the monthly fee for those, if you want one that's going to like accept online payments and have like a lesson booking form or an email squeeze page, that sort of thing. So if you want the full functionality of that, you might have to pay $30 a month or whatever, maybe more. So that's the second option. Or the third option is what my idea was, which was to give a ready turnkey set of landing pages to customers or teachers who want to get online, and just pay a monthly fee. But you'll have all of the templates ready to go, and just need to use a drag and drop builder to tweak them to your preference.
And tell me about how much does that cost, Paul? What packages do you offer?
Sure. Well, I have 3 packages at the moment. The basic plan is $9 a month, and what you get with that is an email squeeze page template. So you can start to build up your email marketing list. And I've said before that I think it should be a really important part of everyone's online marketing. You also get a blog, the native blog, which is part of all WordPress sites. So you can create unlimited number of blog posts. And blogging is content marketing is also, I think, should be a really important part of everyone's online marketing strategy. So that's the basic plan. The premium starter plan is $19 a month, With that, you get a calendar, a booking calendar, so students can come on there. They can reserve a trial lesson, or they can pay for a session-based lesson. They can book several sessions at a time. So that's what that plan offers, and the Premium Pro plan offers all of those things. And in addition, you have a sales page where you can sell a course. Like if you have a course of 20 lessons, 30 lessons, you can promote and sell that in one go. And I think that's an advisable strategy for online ESL teachers. It really helps you to scale your business if you can sell a program of like a bulk group of lessons like that. So that's the three options I have. Yeah.
Okay. And speaking to Peter Lackner last week from Jobs in Japan, he made the point, it's time we're really battling against, isn't it? We want to save time, of course. Like you and I've kind of gone through, you obviously know a lot more about building a website than I do, but it takes a little bit of time, and there's hassle and frustration, and if you have other things to do, you want to build a curriculum, want to get in touch with people, you don't really, you can do this, of course, but can you set aside the time? Can you put up with it?
That's right. Yeah. So time, I think time for most people is actually more valuable than money. So we can always make more money, but we can't make more time. We can't make more time for our families, for our lives. So saving time is something that we're all looking for, I believe. Mm-hmm.
And not promoting your company especially, but I think $9 a month is.
It's a reasonable rate.
I think so. I think it's I buy a lot of plugins and courses and things. I mean, it's not a lot of money, I think.
I mean, that may go up at some point because this is something that I've just launched. So I'm looking for early adopters, but I
get in early to reserve this price. Is that right?
But I mean, I can make the promise that anyone who does get on the existing plans, they will be grandfathered in at that price for the future. So they'll insulate themselves against any future price increases.
Okay. So for the uninitiated, for people who don't know what a landing page is, what a squeeze page is, what an email sequence is, can you go through that a little bit and explain what it is?
Great question. Yeah. Okay. So what I often see is when people decide to create a website for themselves. So your website, your homepage, you might have like a welcome message. Hi, welcome to my website. There might be, some pictures about what you do. There might be like some other things on there. But the typical homepage of a website, it's a bit like a Swiss Army knife. It sort of tries to do a little bit of everything. It's got like navigation leading to other parts of the site. And a Swiss Army knife is great, but if you've got a particular task which you're trying to accomplish, you probably want a specialized tool for that task. So, for example, if you needed brain surgery, you'd hope that your brain surgeon wasn't using a Swiss Army knife. So, I think the most pressing task for any new business owner is to get customers, is to get clients. So, the number one task is converting visitors into students. So a landing page follows a set of design concepts, design principles, which will optimize those visitors, will optimize that traffic that you're getting in terms of converting the traffic into customers, into students. So somebody who comes to a landing page, they will clearly see what your offer is. They will clearly see that you understand the pain point that they're experiencing. They will see some kind of social proof that you've got that trust and authority. And maybe most important of all, there'll be some clear call to action so they can take the next step. So that's in essence what a landing page is. Now. With any kind of sales funnel, you probably would be overly optimistic to think that people are going to learn about you, go directly to your course booking page, and then pay for 20 lessons right up. It doesn't tend to work that way. You've got to get this relationship going, build up this connection with your prospects first. So what I recommend is to get people to come to an email squeeze page. So an email squeeze page means, you might put a post on LinkedIn or Facebook and saying, hey, if you come to my landing page, you'll get this free PDF, which will teach you how to do this. It's a free resource. So people come to your landing page, they enter their email address, they get the free thing, and then you've got them as part of your email marketing sequence. You can reach out to them and offer them more free stuff. You can tell them about what you're doing in your business. You can build up this connection. They get used to seeing things from you in their inbox, and then over time you can make them an offer which is specific to your niche and which is specific to the prospect. So a landing page in general is just a page which is optimized to convert traffic into customers. And we can have various types of landing pages, whether that be an email squeeze page, as I've described, or it could be like a lesson booking page. You might have a landing page which is designed to convert visitors into like an introductory trial lesson, maybe a free trial lesson, or a landing page which is designed to sell a whole course of lessons. So that's what it means.
And a little bit about emails. I've done a little research in this. I'm sure you have as well, Paul, that actually they found a lot of people who start an email list, they're a little bit hesitant about contacting or keeping contact, sending out emails. They say, will I send out one a month? Will I send out one a quarter? And, they're a little bit iffy about the whole thing. But what they found is that actually the more emails you send out, the better it is for your list.
Yeah. There's a guy online called Mike Killen. He has a channel called Sell Your Service, and he actually recommends one email every day. I don't know. I'm not sure about that at this point, but I do think there's validity in having frequent contact. If people don't see an email from you, if they don't get an email from you for a couple of months, then they'll forget about you. They'll forget why they even signed up for the thing in the first place. So, and I think that what really works is having an automated sequence in place as well. So there are these email marketing platforms like MailChimp, where you can get a free account. They have paid plans as well. But there are various others like Sendinblue and ActiveCampaign and others. And with all of these platforms, you can set up a sequence, an automated sequence. So when somebody submits their email, they get the free thing, they get the free download, or it could be access to a video, for example. And then they get a series of emails that are timed to follow that up, maybe at a few days interval. And I've got a whole blog article about this, how you can structure that. But not every email should be a sales pitch. That would be a bad idea. So your email sequence should be about like offering more value. So, hey, you've got this free thing. Would you like this other free thing? Which should probably help you. It might be just to tell the recipient about something that you've done, like so they understand that you are coming from a place of authority. So you might want to tell them about that you've just appeared on Philip Pound's blog, Philip Pound's podcast show, for example. Babeltech.com.
So there we go. We will plug each other there. And another thing as well, which I found useful, is, and this is coming back to your finance background, due diligence. So you actually, you select your customer. You can't be all things to all men or all people, whatever it is. So you don't want a mass market. You want just
Exactly.
A specific person, don't you? That's what you're looking for with your copywriting, with your landing page, with your emails. Yeah,
precisely. Yeah. So this is something that Seth Godin talks about. Is you want to think about what's your tribe, and your tribe could be people who fit a certain demographic, and if you're not part of that tribe, that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person, but you're just not the person that I'm looking for, that I'm speaking to. So having a defined group of people that you're trying to help out really helps you to craft your message, and this is part of the advantage of picking a niche. I mean, if I can tell you a little anecdote. So some years ago, when I was visiting Australia, I was visiting my parents, and my dad's got a wheelbarrow in his backyard, and my kids were there, and my sister's kids were there, and of course they wanted to pile into the wheelbarrow and for me to give them the wheelbarrow ride around the garden, and we did that for about an hour or so. Next day, I could barely move. Like the muscles in my back were just shredded. I was in pain. So I went to the local pharmacy, got my sister to take me to the local pharmacy, and I went to the section of the drugstore where they kept all the pain medicine, and there were like basically 3 shelves of just generic pain medicine, and there was like one box on there that said for back pain. So which one do you think I picked? I picked the one that spoke directly to my need, to my pain point. And so later we found out that there actually was not much difference in the drug itself, but from that and all the others. But just the fact that their marketing message was directed to me means that product was the winner. So you don't even need really to change your product that much, but as long as you change your messaging so that you're talking to one specific group of people, you're gonna do a lot better.
I think I saw something similar. I think they're called Van Tuchelen brothers. They work for the BBC. They're 2 doctors, and they said exactly the same thing. They got boxes with all headache medicine, back pain medicine, but actually it's all the same.
Yeah,
it's the same medicine, but they just put a different label. And some people, they say people buy all of these. They buy 8, 10 different boxes, but actually you don't need. It's marketing, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just coming back a little bit to the landing page, you mentioned a few very good things that we just drill down a little bit more. So when we do marketing, the first thing is emotion, isn't it? It's the pain first, isn't it? And they say you get the pain, you push the pain, you say, and if you don't act on this, then this may be the situation. So, for example, I won't go into an example. There's many more online that can do it better. But you mentioned social proof. So social proof would be something like, let's say, company logos or testimonials. And then there's risk reversal, isn't there, that we have at the bottom. Like a guarantee or those kind of things. Can you just talk a little bit about those?
Sure, yeah. So there's a lot that goes into optimizing your landing pages, and including all those things which you just mentioned. I think it is true that people make purchase decisions with emotion first of all, and then they look to justify those decisions with logic secondary. So there's a saying that you should sell the sizzle, not the steak. So you draw people in on an emotional level first. Something else which Mike Killen, I mentioned earlier, something which Mike Killen says is you should sell futures, not features. And what he means, I think, is that you're showing people like a future, their future selves, where this problem they have has gone away, or this future self where they've made some transformation in their lives. So an optimized landing page should make that connection on an emotional level, and then later look at addressing objections. So salespeople talk about objections. So So removing the risk, as you said, like offering a free trial lesson. That would be one way of removing the risk for a lot of potential students. Social proof, testimonials are very important. So with my platform, by the way, you also get templated pages to accept testimonials from students, because testimonials really are an important asset to have. So testimonials are a way of communicating to your target audience that people like us do things like this, i.e. if you're part of this demographic, then other people who are part of your demographic have had a successful experience with me in the past. So testimonials, logos of companies you've worked with, case studies. Maybe you might want to include a brief case study about how you took someone from this point and helped them to achieve success at this level. So case studies are another way of adding social proof. And I think that it also is really important to articulate the problem that the customer is experiencing. So when a student comes to your landing page and you're talking about, hey, are you struggling with the listening section of the IELTS test? That student should be reading and nodding their head and saying, yeah, that's me. This guy gets it. So that's the kind of experience that you want your prospects to have, your potential students to have when they come to a landing page. They should have some desire, and then you should address any objections that they might have, and they should have that level of trust and trust in what you're offering.
Okay, so we've built a landing page through you or by ourselves, and we want to get online. We've thought about our niche and say, yeah, this is for me. I think I can go for this. So you start to market it through the usual channels: Facebook, email, LinkedIn, maybe Twitter. I don't know how good Twitter is, and then you start to get responses. So what's a good conversion rate? So people who respond, people who become your students, what should you be happy with?
Well, it depends on what you call a conversion. I mean, you've got to think about the sales funnel as being a series of layered stages. So, like in any sales funnel, there'll be people who don't even know that they have a problem. Okay, so first of all, your first task is to make them aware that they have a problem. So you might do that, like for example, with a quiz. You might have a Facebook post saying, "Hey, try my free quiz. Let's find out how much you really know about using English in meetings," or something like that. So there's that level of the sales funnel where people don't know that they have a problem. Then there's another level where people know that they have a problem, but they don't know that solutions exist for it. So you have to make them aware that, hey, yeah, there are courses available where we can solve this issue for you. Then there's another layer where people don't know that solutions exist, but they don't know where to find them. There might be and there's another layer where people know where to find solutions, but they can't decide between various options. They might have 2 or 3 different vendors, and they can't make up their mind between choosing one of them. And then there's then the final level where, okay, they might have decided, okay, I know I've got a problem. I know you can fix my problem, but for some reason they're just reluctant to hand over their credit card. There's just some last objection point that you've got to address. So there's various steps in this process of getting new prospects into your funnel and then taking them through this journey, this path to purchase before they become your student. So I don't really think about it in terms of like conversion percentages that way. So you could talk about what's the percentage conversion rate on Facebook ads, or the percentage conversion rates for email and that sort of thing, and that'll vary, depending on different things. But I tend to think of it in terms of that that layered approach, that there are people at different stages of the funnel, and you've got to craft a message that resonates with people depending on where they are within that funnel.
Okay, so just kind of finishing off today, there's been so much information, so much valuable information, Paul. It's been fantastic. I've learned a lot, so that's a bonus. And I think possibly in future with the podcast, we'll be doing other things like a troubleshooting and maybe have panel discussions and things like that. So Paul, the door is open to doing another podcast of a different type maybe in the future. So if you're,
I'd love to do it, Phil.
Yeah. Great. And I'd just like to finish off with a little bit about your, so we're recording this in middle of January, or when you hear it, maybe late February 2021, and it's going to be evergreen content, I think, and people are hopefully going to access this for number of years. But we're in the COVID situation, and there are schools moving online, and even in Japan there's been a sea change. I mean, for a country that didn't want to move online, people didn't want to do teleconferencing. They take the Shinkansen down to Osaka, and now it's all completely different, isn't it? It's complete change. So what's your prediction for online teaching? It's a big question, but if you have.
Yeah, I think this is a good question, and I have had it put to me that that the COVID pandemic has really just accelerated everything that was going to happen 5, 6, 7 years from now. Anyway, so even before COVID, we had a trend where more and more people were working online and connecting with their friends, family online, doing training online. So that trend was already there, but I think that the pandemic has just kind of supercharged that whole process. So like suddenly everyone's a Zoom expert now. So so a lot of companies have figured out the benefits of using a remote workforce, and I think a lot of them also will be looking at remote training as well for their people. And if you're an independent ESL teacher, and if you can get a contract with a small or medium sized company to do their English training for their staff, then that's a really good opportunity for you. So I think that the 2020s are going to be a really important decade in terms of the whole way that people receive training and education more broadly. I think education and training has been kind of like a laggard in a lot of respects to what has happened elsewhere on the internet, like e-commerce. I think that kind of got a head start on training. People have been doing online e-commerce for a while, but training and education hasn't been that popular until very recently. So I think 2020s is going to be kind of a golden age for online training and education. Okay,
so Paul's website is babeltech.com, BABELTEQ.com. And Paul, what's the best way to get in contact with you? You're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual.
All the
Instagram.
Usuals, yes. So you can go to my website. That's what I would probably suggest. The link to the blog is in the footer, and there are heaps of articles on there which I've created specifically for independent ESL teachers, and covers aspects like email marketing, like affiliate marketing for teachers, which we didn't talk about. That's a whole nother podcast in itself, I think. So there's a lot of articles on there that you might get value out of. So please check those out. And if you want to connect with me on social media, I'm on LinkedIn, Paul Sallaway, and also on Instagram under Babel Tech. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll put this up on all the usual channels, and I'll tag you, Paul, as well. So if people have questions, they can put it in the comment section, and I'm sure we can talk about it there. Yeah. So great talking to you today, Paul, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yes, no worries. Yes, thanks, Phil. That's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the EFL Magazine Business Podcast with Philip Pound. For more great advice and resources, check out eflmagazine.com. If you found this podcast helpful, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next time.